So what becomes relevant is we need to explain not only the existence of this thing, but more importantly, or equally as important, the role that our intuition plays in this, right? Because what we recognize is, at this point, the explanation of the existence of this thing, the metaphysical nature of this thing, is itself contingent on intuition. And Kant proved how intuition factors into an understanding of the metaphysical nature of things, right? Prior to this, maybe the rationalists would have said, yeah, our intuition factors into, but the rationalists would have been interested in the thing, not the thing itself, but the object, the body. The empiricists would have said that, well, no, it's just an analysis of the body, and intuition doesn't really play a role. What Kant has already done, right, and as we said, the claim was the very first line of the last section of 2c, he says, the conclusion drawn in this section then is that metaphysics is properly concerned with synthetic propositions a priori, the synthetic a priori. And again, I've already done a lecture on what the synthetic a priori is and the relationship between the synthetic and the a priori. We recognize that the a priori, and maybe it's not apparent, the a priori nature is here, the synthetic nature is here, right? I just read to you what he said, right? Metaphysics is properly concerned with the synthetic a priori nature. What we've seen at this part, right? What we've seen at this part is, in addition to the a priori and the synthetic nature, a priori being necessity for mathematical propositions, synthetic part being the amplitive contribution that the new concept, for example 12, adds to the initial concept 7 plus 5. In addition to all of this is the role of our intuition, right? So it's not just the synthetic and the a priori, but it's to be technical, the synthetic, the a priori, and the intuition. The intuition being sort of the means in which we arrive at, to be technical, the intuition being, well, what is that? I'm not sure if that's actually, the intuition, I know it plays the role, but I would make the further claim that, I would make the claim, and I just thought of this, right, but I would make the claim that the synthetic a priori is itself sort of this new union, right, and we went through Hume's fork, the new concept of the synthetic a priori is itself contingent on the intuition. I'm not sure if anyone's made that claim before, but it has to follow, right? We can't come up, for example, in analyzing 7 plus 5 equals 12, right? We recognize that there is necessity, right? So, and that's a priori. We recognize that there is amplitive contribution, and that's synthetic. So we see the synthetic a priori. However, this addition itself, the idea of this new concept, is itself contingent on our intuition, right? So without our intuition aiding us in creating this new concept, we wouldn't be able, right? No, that is right. Without our intuition aiding us in creating this new concept 12, we wouldn't be able to arrive at the amplitive contribution, the synthetic, so that it would be, in a sense, first the a priori, then the intuition, then the synthetic. That's what I would argue. Hopefully that makes sense, right? Now, and just to recognize what we're saying is that he's saying that here's the initial concept, here's the secondary concept. The secondary concept is not found in the initial concept. It's through our intuition that we arrive at, so prior to, that we arrive at this amplitive contribution. So the question is, or the point is, well, if I were to remove this function of the intuition, right, this unifying function of the intuition, I could not have arrived at the new concept. If I didn't arrive at the new concept, I would not have been able to arrive at the amplitive contribution. I would not have been able to make that assessment. Therefore, I can't properly be said to attain the synthetic unless I've gone through the intuition. Right, no, that is right. Right, yeah, so Hopefully that makes sense. I think that's clear now. I have to work through it myself. Kant's not easy. But you're not able to arrive at the amplitive contribution of the secondary concept until you've synthesized within the intuition the initial concept, right? So the intuition plays a huge role in sort of our understanding of the synthetic a priori, especially when we're talking about the synthetic judgments, the three different forms of synthetic judgments, right? And primarily, me personally, I'm placing a lot of emphasis on his articulation of mathematical propositions, because it's in this state of affairs, mathematical propositions, that we, especially in a contemporary sense, since we know that physics is the discipline that explains existence, we recognize that sort of prior to physics attaining the supremacy that it has now, metaphysics was the governing discipline. And Kant wants to challenge, and not necessarily, I don't want to give it away, but Kant wants to investigate the role that metaphysics plays in an articulation of existence. And immediately in the first 4 pages, we recognize that an attempt to explain existence merely in terms of synthetic fails, and an attempt to explain existence merely in terms of the analytic fails. That it's a combination of both, and a little bit of the role of the intuition. Without the role of the intuition, you wouldn't be able to arrive at our metaphysical claims. So let me see what this is. That concludes the discussion. This next part of Kant, this is section 2C, and I will continue the analysis later. I hope that this has been informative. It's been a bit complicated, but hopefully it's been informative. With that being said, I'm Dr. Jason J. Campbell. Thanks for watching my videos. Goodbye.